Hello, Heather.
Hey,
Hi, everyone. It's 3 minutes after, so I think we should probably get started. I know Tigran can't attend, and I don't see Bogdan, so I think I'll jump in and try to lead here. Um, First of all, please sign in if you're on the meeting. First item from Tigran, review the config and value sources proposal. I think this is just a call to give some thought to this issue and comment if you're interested or have a take on what it should look like. Anyone have anything to say about that right now in this meeting? All right. So yeah, please take a look. There's a poll out there for how to schedule the working group. So please fill that out if you are interested in joining. Third issue is mine. So curious, maybe those who've been involved with the collector longer than I have, if there's any plan or concrete plan or any real way currently to consume the ops report package and the signals that are provided to it. It strikes me that the collector is in need of more internal instrumentation. As I understand it, we are eventually going to be using the OpenTelemetry Go library to instrument the collector, but aren't doing that until it reaches a certain point of stability. Does it make sense to have our own homegrown way to consume this? All right, I think I'll write up a proposal and send that out. Gerasi, did you want to go next?
Sure, yeah, I think it might be kind of related to the previous one, but it's actually something that I came up today. So someone asked me whether we had latency information for receivers and exporters, and I thought we had. Does anyone else remember having that kind of histograms or things like that for receivers and exporters and potentially processors as well?
Yeah, I do think the ops report package is capturing like a trace or a span for the life cycle of each component.
Okay. I thought I remembered a histogram, so metrics for that, not a span. But that might be it, yeah. Okay, so I'll take a look. Now, if it's not there, is it something that we want to have it there?
I would think so, as long as it's not, like affecting performance of the collector too much. It's just my opinion.
At one point, I was very interested in having end-to-end latency, but I haven't been able to work on that recently. One interesting bit about the current, at least sent and failed to send sort of metrics, is that they seem to, especially the receiver metrics, seem to record failures if something happens later in the pipeline that is then returned to it. So at least for the Prometheus receiver, I'm not sure if that's the intended usage or not, but I imagine latency would be weird to measure if it captured time taken by other components.
Right. So I think end-to-end is kind of difficult if we have things like the batch processor in between. But individual components can still be measured, of course, individually. All right. Okay, so I'll take a look and see, and perhaps come up with some user documentation for the website or something around this topic, because I myself got confused. So I can only imagine that users are going to be confused as well.
All right, thank you. Rashmi, do you want to take one?
Yeah, sure. So I created an when we are using the Prometheus receiver and we try to relabel the job labels in the for the targets and relabel the job or instance labels for the metric. So we are unable to do it because of the way that Prometheus sends us the labels and we try to derive the metrics from the labels. So since the labels that may be relabeled are considered unique, and we try to identify the targets based off of these labels, and since they are relabeled, it's not able to find the right targets, because of which the metric collection is failing. So that's the summary of the issue, and that's what I found by digging into the code so far. And there are a couple of ways to solve this. So one of them is to basically change the way Prometheus sends the metrics by adding the old and new labels just for job and instances. So that's one of the ways. But that would be very custom to make the OTel collector itself. So the other one would be to create a new target when the existing target is not found. So I just wanted to bring it up and see what the thoughts are.
I think we have something similar if you rename a metric as well, where we can't get metadata after you change.
Yes.
Like core attributes. Our position in the past, or at least thus far, has been that we try and maintain the same behavior as the Prometheus server itself. And I don't think the Prometheus server will handle this correctly either. Have you tried it with just a regular Prometheus server?
No, I have looked into the code, but I haven't tried it, and I can give it a try. I will give it a try, and I will check if it works. So far, I've seen that they create hashes for the label sets, which might not be a problem in Prometheus, but I will give it a try and see if it works, and then I'll take it back.
Cool. And feel free to CC me -poll on any
Okay.
issues or stuff if you have further and want to discuss it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Travis.
Yes. Yeah, so we were just wondering what the steps are to get once a pull request has been approved, getting it merged. We just fixed the lint error, and but we saw we don't have permission to merge. So when we're ready to merge, we're just wondering what the steps are.
Yeah, I think.
once-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, once the build is green, once every step is passing, then a maintainer would merge this PR. So namely Tigran or Bogdan.
Okay.
So they
Thank you.
both seem to have approved already. There were also a couple of other approvals. So they're probably just waiting for the build to be green again.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Now, if you don't see that merged, you know, I don't know, in a reasonable time, feel free to ping them directly, or you can try pinging in channel, and they would likely merge it.
Can you tell me their names one more time, please?
Sure, Tigran
How do you?
and Bogdan.
Oh,
Yeah, they both approved the PR as far as I can see.
okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I realized I forgot to push my last fix, so that's why. But yeah, I just pushed it.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
How are you?
All right, Eric.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I'm like not very good at managing my Google tabs. Cool, yeah. I had been talking with poking or looking around. I'm not sure if any relevant folks are in the meeting. I know it's a busy day because of all the conferences and stuff. Yeah, I was kind of checking in, one, if I'm even in the right place. Two, I was curious around who to kind of work with or liaise with around the semantic convention translation processor. That's kind of like an open issue. There's some work on underlying components going on in the OpenTelemetry Go SIG. OpenTelemetry Go repo that Tigran was working on. So I was kind of hoping to ask him whether there was plans to then add a, you know, like basically what are the next steps around this processor? It seems like there's some foundational work being done to support translating semantic conventions based on schema URLs in the collector. But I wasn't clear on like what the roadmap is and also like what the feature set of that processor would be. Specifically my questions, and if no one knows, that's fine. I can, you know, like I can bug people on Slack.
I mean, Eric, I can say that you can chat with Anthony. Anthony Mirabella has been working on the tool, the semantic conventions tool in Go, as well as with and with Bogdan and Tigran. But I think mostly Bogdan and Anthony have been working together on the collector StemCon support based on the Go updates, and we are kind of working lockstep on the Go SDK and reusing that for the collector with a subset being applied for the collector additionally, right? So again, please feel free to ping him. Hi, Bogdan.
Speak of the devil.
There he is. Bogdan, did you want to talk about, you're on mute, but on semantic conventions?
Sorry, which semantic convention?
So the OTEP 152 merged schema URL, like the kind of first support for schema URL. And then with that comes like sort of implied like a bunch of future work around like using schema URL to enforce schema and translating between schemas and all that fun, incredibly fun stuff. And so I'm trying to, it's a one, like I'm confused on, there's work going on in OpenTelemetry Go's SDK, but I'm confused on whether like we're doing any of this translation work in the Go SDK. Like, is it meant to be done in all language clients? That's confusing to me. And two, I have questions on like, what's next on the OTEP 152 has a bunch of proposals around like kind of future, like what's next, like defining, for example, like root schemas, defining backwards compatibility. And it's like, it's clear that people are working on something, but it's unclear like what that is. And I'm not asking to say like work harder or faster, although like, yes, everyone should do that all the time. But yeah, more like I'm trying to understand where I might be able to jump in and help.
Okay, so I think people discuss and they found that it is a strong requirement to have some kind of support in the SDK, especially around the fact that if you link together multiple components with different schema URL, you may have troubles, especially with the current definition of schema URL, which applies to the entire span or stuff. Mm-hmm. So they kind of found out that there needs to be some kind of support in every SDK. So that being said, definitely we need to have something in the collector at a higher level. So I think Tigran is the best person, as he proposed this and he kind of leads this effort, but I haven't find anything more concrete than you found. So
no worries. Okay, I can, yeah, like Alita said, I can sort of ping Tigran and Anthony on that issue, and you know, they're nice people, and I'll try not to bug them too late at night, and whatever, I'll be able to interact with them. Yeah, I think personally speaking, we're interested in having some support for schema URL, specifically like maybe a custom schema URL, like that handles some sort of like root parentage relationship, like a superset of OTLP, that can also incorporate like a company's like specific, you know, things that are relevant. And it feels like, yeah, the proposal has some holes in it, not holes, but just areas of needs a little more clarity. So I'll try to work with them on that clarity. And I'll stop talking now.
Eric, do you already have an issue on this custom schema request? I mean,
well,
do you have one open or? So
I see in the OTEP, it's like things to do. There's like a section of like stuff that might get done next. And it's a bunch of like relevant stuff. So I don't want to say, so I don't have an issue. I'm just working on implementing schema URL in Ruby right now is like my first thing. And then it's unclear whether I should jump around to like some other languages that we use internally and implement it there, or whether I should maybe jump into, you know, helping get some sort of, you know, parent root thing or backward compatibility work done. So I think the TLDR is I need to stop talking here and start talking to Anthony and Tigran.
The other thing, the root thing that you want, it may just be another schema URL, like kind of you have multiple, but anyway.
So yeah, right now the spec says that if there's a difference, you just drop them both. There's no way to say like this inherits, there's no parent-child relationships, which is like, and there's maybe some edge cases around like how you would handle that merging. So, okay. Thank you all. Cheers.
Punya?
Hi. So this is an existing issue that Josh created some time back. The super high level, the thing we're trying to get done is allow automated processing of collector logs for when interesting things happen, right? So you have some integration that you've set up, and you find out, oh, I can't talk to my MySQL receiver can't talk to MySQL because the username and password are invalid, right? So ideally, we'd be able to find a precise error code, like a string or a number to match on, rather than saying, here's a long natural language English localized string that we're matching on, and then hoping to keep up to date. I mean, I think there's a lot of prior art for doing this sort of thing in compiler error messages, for example. So I think Bogdan, you had some feedback on this is similar to returning the error in the message. And I think Josh responded to that. I just wanted to draw the community's attention to it, get some more feedback or thoughts on the issue.
So yeah, the whole idea, the whole problem here, if I understood correctly, is you want to have more verbose errors. No?
More precise errors. So like just having a known string that's going to appear there.
And that's why you decided to use the RPC, the Google errors, correct?
The gRPC errors. Yeah, I think that was proposed as an example. The point, as like this is a straw man that people have previously considered, but just some way of saying like here's how you put precise information into error messages.
I see. So if I know you work for Google, but those are not gRPC errors. They are way back in time. they are. Google uses them not only for RPC, but uses them for IO operations and for a bunch of other places. So I'm fine with using this, but I think if we want to do this, maybe an option for us would be to copy the codes and create our own errors instead of using the RPC proto, just because
Agreed.
These
are not RPCs.
No, same errors and stuff. We just name them and we create our error object that does not depend on that whole repo for only one enum definition that it is in that place. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's a very good idea to have these errors and adopt the Google work, especially in the collector. So I'm perfectly fine with having that, but that means we need to define. We have a consumer error package. We just need to define the new errors with the code and stuff and start using them. And I'm fine with that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Other folks, if you have feedback on the issue, please jump in there. And I strongly agree with not taking a dependency on the whole thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for me, it was more or less the way how it was designed and stuff. Nobody had a half pager explaining why this, but I understand now why do you want to have this, and in the future, I recommend starting by filing an issue with, instead of dumping the PR to us without having any context, give us a half page issue explaining, hey, I have this problem. I think we should adopt this, and here is a prototype.
Agreed. That's the right process. Thank you.
Perfect. If everyone has feedback on this, please.
All right, should we move to the next item, Vineeth?
So I have a quick request, like recently, like the 060 Fortel Open Telemetry collector image is not pushed, so we are spamming Bogdan and Tigran in RC release work channel and CNC here. So Bogdan, it's like, can you just push that image, because there was a small glit in the release PR which we have created. So there was a V as a suffix. So now the image doesn't expect V. So Jurassic, I already created the PR without the V in the version. So if you can just push the image for 0360, I think from the upcoming versions, automatically the images gets published from the core repository.
I'm confused. So did we not publish the 036?
I thought we did. There's an error in the naming, Vineet?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
the
just
tag.
yeah, I just pasted the commands here in the agenda. It's basically that the new releases repository was tagging with a V0360, whereas we need without the V. So previously we published without the V, right? So to keep consistency with the previous versions, we should publish images without the V. That's pretty much it. I mean, the image is there. You just need to pull, tag, and push.
Oh, I hate you.
I love you too, Bogdan.
I know.
Jurasi, did you fix the repo? No
Yes.
more hotel call stuff? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, this V, the V is fixed for 037. So as soon as I saw this problem, I opened the PR and Vineet approved. And I think he even merged. So it's there for 037, but unfortunately, we didn't get this in time for 36.
is there? Okay, live pushing, so it's there now.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other topic? Alex?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this up to the community here, is that there was a change in the behavior of the OTLP exporter to connect insecurely rather than securely by default in the current main branch. And so I opened an issue for it, and Jurasi, thank you, you've already commented on it. I just wanted to ensure that we don't make a release of 0.37 that changes that behavior if possible.
JRPCs wanted to change from secure to insecure.
Yeah, this was done during the change to, I think, to use a pointer for the TLS configuration. And
Is
so
there
by
PR? Is there a PR that I can merge?
not yet, because I didn't know if that was intentional or not. Now that I know it was not intentional, I can create a PR for it.
It was not intentional.
Yeah, what changed, Alex? What behavior change?
Yeah, so by
specifically?
default, the OTLP exporter will try and connect securely to whatever endpoint you specify. And now it no longer does this unless you add the TLS insecure false setting.
Yes.
So the previous default was that connections would be secure by default, right?
Yeah.
And in
Correct.
this change here, it was not related to that. It was, I think it was just adding or aligning TLS options with the auth options. So making TLS as a one extra node in the configuration. And as part of that change, the default for secure has changed from insecure false, so a double negative, or insecure false to insecure true, right?
Yeah.
So now and we are kind of breaking now, especially the default configuration for distributions or for exporters that rely on the default being secure. Meaning, if I'm sending data to just say a name here, Lightstep, they're using port 443, so they are secure. But the new default is going to be insecure, so it's going to fail.
Okay, so was this released in any version, Alex?
Nope.
Oh,
This is just in main.
perfect. Just
I want to make sure it stays that way.
perfect. Thank you.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for catching that, Alex.
Yeah, that's a good catch.
All right, looks like we have one more item.
Yeah, my name is Shanuk. I have a question for Bogdan that I have a PR, which is about compression method for config gRPC. So that it's still waiting for to be merged, but is there any concerns or changes that I need to that is required to do that?
To be honest, my main concern about this is using that dependency. Is that a very well-known dependency that we need to bring? We can bring it to core, or not that really? Because it brings, for example, it brings some very unstable dependencies like Snappy 0.04 or something like that. So are we okay with bringing that whole package into the core or not yet?
I was trying to find another another library that is well known or reliable, but since it's a wrapper method for gRPC, so it's the I couldn't find an alternative one. So that another way to solve this problem is that we can implement in our own system code base.
Yeah, but so that's my curiosity. Is this the standard library that everyone uses? This Go gRPC compression from most Y and B?
Most YMB is just wrapping, wrap this, the existed compression method, because it needs to, it's
I understand what it does. I understand what it does, but do we trust that dependency? I mean, I'm trying to start limiting the adding random dependencies to the core. And I want to understand, is this the library that everyone uses, or we should not use it? Like, I'm looking for feedback from anyone. If anyone knows that this is the right library to use for this thing, I'm fine using it.
I think we might have some compression on Jaeger, and I can take as an action item to come back and say what we use there.
Okay, can you look into that and see if there is other standard thing? I mean, if Jaeger uses it and is using it for a long time, then probably it's fine in terms of stability and stuff. So we should be fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we are using that library. So I think if we are using something for gRPC, we are very likely using something else, because I don't remember that one specifically. I know that for the query part, which is not the gRPC parts, we are using plain Gorilla compression of HTTP to stream. So, and I think it might be the case as well for gRPC, but I have to look into.
Yeah,
or perhaps you can take a look and tell us what you find on the other side.
Yeah, I'll try to look at that.
If you need any help on the other side of things, ping me and I can point you to the right direction. But it should not be that hard to figure that out.
Yeah, so, sorry for not telling the reason, but I was keep thinking about if this is the right thing to do. So yeah, I think we should support multiple encodings. I don't mind that. It's just about how do we support them? Do we depend on these kind of libraries, or do we implement ourselves? Another option, FYI, do you work for AWS?
Yeah, I'm working for AWS.
Okay.
Yep.
So if Alolita is willing to put her name on an issue to do this later, I can merge it now and you fix it later. But unless she doesn't put her name on the issue.
No, I will, Bogdan, definitely.
Create an issue to follow up. If you want to merge it sooner, create an issue to follow up and determine what's the right dependency, because I did look like it doesn't bring too many other dependencies. So
agreed. But I think you raised a good point, because sorry.
Still, I want an audit on this dependency if we want to go with this or other. So
yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think the suggestion that Jurasi gave is very good. I'd really like to understand, what's the most common set of libraries that are used and the modules, and then use the best, use the most popular one, really.
The other options, look into maybe AWS if they have any, even for HTTP or stuff, if they have any compressions, what libraries did they use? I'm pretty sure AWS Go SDKs have some compression algorithms and stuff. And
that's a good suggestion. Will do. That's good.
But again, what I'm trying to say is let's define. We can merge it right now as long as I said, Lolita, you create an issue, put your name there as owner,
Yep.
and we follow up after.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beneath.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So I've been trying to use the OpenTelemetry collector with OTLP exporter. So if I have a tracing backend which accepts the OTLP traces from the collector in gRPC, so if the backend is not available for a couple of minutes, the collector just say, like, let's say context deadline exceeded or something of that sort errors. And in the collector, it says that like over a period, after a couple of minutes, it says this, the queue is full and I'm unable to retry it. So this just be the collector gets into a stale state, and after a couple of hours, I see that okay, my backend didn't get traces, and OpenTelemetry collector is no more retrying it. So the only way I can ask the collector to retry is that I'm restarting the pod, which means all the in-memory queue traces are just dropped.
Okay. So what? Let me understand better. So, if you are what you are telling me is the following: the queue gets full. There are some requests that we tried, but we failed, and we are now waiting with the backoff, which is a minute or something.
Yeah. So like I've been seeing it for like if the collector says that the stack queue is full, so like even for 10-15 minutes, I didn't see it's retrying it or sending the data back to the backend when it's available. So I'm just thinking that it's not retrying it once the queue is full, is my understanding from looking at the logs and the data.
Shouldn't be that. I think, can you, I'll give a try and reproduce this, but can you point the configuration for the queue retry part of the OTLP exporter and the timeout? So the config for the exporter essentially.
Okay, so I'm just using the defaults currently. Like, do you recommend me to use any other
just tell me the section of the exporter, OTLP exporter.
It's just the OTLP. It's just the OTLP with yeah, that's it. Like I can just paste it to the issue which I created.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just
paste to the issue. Doesn't matter. It has to be a paper trail, not only speaking. So people should know about it.
Sure.
Indeed, it is exponential, Eric. It is exponential with backoff retries. And I don't know if the problem is that if it gets to a point, I think we have it for 10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, the default for max exponential retry, and it may get that, it may get to the point of waiting 10 minutes to do a retry, and you may want to be more aggressive on the retries. And so you can play a bit with the retry parameters and set it to the maximum of 1 minute. To not wait for more than 1 minute for retrying, and total 1 minute, and maybe the exponential should be maximum 10 seconds or something like that. Be more aggressive with retries. Then because once we fail to the retries, we will drop that package and we get another one. It is a queuing problem in general. How much can we keep in memory? But the fact that if the backend gets back alive and we could not restart sending this, it makes me feel we are doing something wrong. Do you control the backend? Do you know about the backend when it goes down? How does it go down? It's
so like we I hope for Timescale, and we are just building a new tracing backend, and when we are trying to insert it, like for some queries we get this context deadline exceeded when we in our initial experiments, and when I see this context deadline exceeded and more traces come up, so the write ingestion is very high, and then the queue, it just keeps retrying the request which it did, the context deadline, and the queue gets full, and from there we don't see any data coming to the backend.
Okay, if you can describe this as well, like in the issue, because I did not see this whole explanation. I will try to reproduce it a bit on our side to see if I can reproduce it and understand better.
Sure, I'll add more details to it.
But also, as I said, play with the parameters of retry. Be more aggressive on the retries and wait less, because otherwise you get to a point of waiting long time and the queue gets full. So we're gonna continuously drop a lot of traces instead of retrying more often. It's a
Okay.
Yeah, it's a trade-off there.
Okay, so the configuration you are suggesting here are in the exporter OTLP, right? So is it somewhere else? Because the default.
No, in the
parameters
in exporter OTLP, you can have a section called Q_retry, I think. And under that, you have a bunch of arguments.
Okay, the README doesn't show it, but I'll just do a deep digging into it.
Let me show you exporter, OTLP exporter. Yes, doesn't show this. Oh, it is. The last one, it says queuing and it's a link.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
And you see there the whole explanation about this with the picture of what is happening and.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Good.
All right, I think we've gone through the entire agenda now. I would actually ask my question again now that Bogdan joined, because I suspect you may have some context here. Basically, is there any detailed plan to make the signals from ops report available for consumption? I think right now maybe there's a web endpoint, a local host endpoint you can use, but anything else like a receiver that will pump them into a pipeline or anything like this?
If you want to put them into a pipeline right now, then the simplest way is to put a custom Prometheus receiver that points to that endpoint.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the simplest way right now. We are working on switching to OTel metrics, and then we'll give you better things. But that's the current solution.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yep. Thanks.
Good.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? All right, I think we're all done then. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.